and welcome, beloved mighty companions, to the holy circle of light. And to celebrate who we are. This is happiness, to celebrate what we are. To admit that we've been confused. We wanted to play the game of confused. Who am I? And yet together, Jesus has given each other and showed us how to accept the gift we have for each other to point to infinite light of being. So we're very grateful you've come. Aw. Oh, we have Linda and Lorrie and a little pair over there. It's such a blessing. It just touches your heart, my heart so deeply, our heart, the heart of God, to see the beloveds come together. And we thank you, Doc, for coming and translating. And Dyra had to step out, and we're just blessed. It's just beyond the beyond to be together in the collaboration. And David would talk about that. And it was like, oh, I did plenty of collaborating in corporate America. I had enough of that. And then you see how the real joining in it, the holiness in it. And so there hasn't been, we started these light circles, the call came in, at least for me, this was an assignment to do these light circles every day and twice a day. And you just see, you have to answer Jesus when he gives you an assignment. There's so much love in that, those assignments. And I just had enough trust to follow him and back in March. So we've almost been doing them twice a day for almost a year now. And the emphasis of these circles have really been this deepest of the deep contemplation on what he's teaching, rather than discussion of metaphysics and how does it all work. He's just going, the message is for me, and then let his voice come through to say it's now, no delay, just the rocket ship of God, and to really teach the joining and give the joining instructions, how to join, and then how to take those desires and beliefs in chapter 20 and work with him, and that everyone can hear him. And that's really the only message that everyone can hear. And it's being reflected through the mighties that have been brought together. And in fact, we're hearing it at once, because Dyra is saying how Jesus is giving her the Spanish at the exact same time he's giving the English to me. And it's so extraordinary. But we don't get to see these kinds of time-space rearrangements until we say yes. So we come together with each other to say yes to God and to cease to say no. So this was the first time it had been given in all that time since last March to answer, to have an open Q&A, pretty much, to ask. And so if you have questions, this is really the first time that, and then we can also have a joining session as well after, if there are specific desires you'd like to look at. But it's really for all of us. So if anyone has a question they would like to ask, I feel we'll just ask Jesus like we always do. Yeah, you might have to. Yeah, there you go, Lorrie. What would you like to ask?
Jesus, can you help us understand the miracle? And is it a miracle that we're able to see the desires? Is that part of the miracle? Is that a miracle?
So miracles are expressions of infinite love that are suppressed by desires. So the willingness to look at desires is actually the release to a miracle. When we're willing to give it to Jesus, that releases the divine love that's been suppressed in the mind. The recognition of love, so that we're no longer investing in the no through the desire. Miracle is acceptance of infinite love as it is, perfect, whole, holy, and complete. And then they interlock, like he says, it's an interlocking chain of miracles. And you see that none of it's true. It's acceptance of divine love exactly as it is, holy, whole, and complete. Yeah, he's reminding me how we've been noticing, at least here, how I really didn't have a clue about a miracle because we're so confused about what love truly is that we have to ask them if we had a miracle. To ask them what a miracle is and if one's here. That's how quickly the cover over is going to try and come in and just cover it over. Or it's the interpretive function in consciousness. So it's helpful to ask the one who knows, am I ready for a miracle? And did the miracle? And he'll tell you a lot of times it's already happened. That's how much we don't know. I don't know if Lori's coming back. Okay. Does that feel complete for her question, or did she have another question?
That feels really complete.
Okay. Hi, Lorrie. Oh, it just went. Okay, hold on. Okay, try that again.
Jesus, we forget, and we're in the process of looking with you, and we forget, and we see the desire to crucify for or blame ourselves for not experiencing, let's say, a full release. What is most helpful at that point?
Ask me if this needs to be true. Ask me whether I have a requirement for you to crucify yourself. To see that love doesn't have a requirement that you crucify you. You can see infinite light, infinite love doesn't crucify, it doesn't know what that is. So you can just come quickly to me. To know that I love you, that I'm here to support you in everything. So it's a play of consciousness to attempt to crucify. It's just helped to remember and see that the light's not crucifiable. It doesn't carry a crucifix with it. The light's just here already. You're the light. So just see it as a play in consciousness. Crucifixion is a play in consciousness. To deny divinity, to act as though there's a God of vengeance that would crucify his son. That was just a demonstration to show that I knew crucifixion's impossible in the light of divine being. So thus you being one and same with the Father, that means that you can't be crucified either. You can only dream it. You can ask. See that it's only a dream to crucify. In the light of divine being, can crucifixion in truth occur? In honesty of God? How would that occur in light?
Not happening ever.
That's happiness. And then just to see with me all the areas that you would try and claim crucifixion for yourself over God, over the Father. The play to self-crucify and to pretend like it's being done to a me when no me can exist. Does a me exist in the light of divine being? Love doesn't know what a me is, neither do you. None of us. No one here knows that. This is just merely the divine power that we all carry. We do have this power to drop that idea, actually, he says. We have that power. It's granted by God because God would not grant anything other than love. Love is the only thing that's been granted. The only thing granted by God is holiness. That's all that can be known as holiness. See, this is a demand that God cannot make. He cannot answer that demand. He cannot answer a demand for crucifixion or suffering. It's impossible because it's not known to light. Light, crucifixion and suffering, these are ideas. These are ideas that have no bearing in light whatsoever. Thankfully. Okay.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, hi, Corey.
Don't even really know my question exactly, but my my experience has been when I join, I feel this this dishonesty and this awkwardness and this even hearing the phrase like let's ask Jesus, it pisses me off because I felt it just feels like a fictional idea that I've never experienced and don't know anything about, and I try to sort of just become quiet to hear, um, and it's just like this constricted blankness, and it sort of feels like I'm turned to the corner of the room and everything's behind me, but I feel paralyzed and don't know how to turn around. Maybe because I've never turned around, so I don't even know what it's like. And I know I know that, you know, this has been addressed, you know, different times in different ways, and but it seems to be a continuous thing for me, which I'm actually okay with for now, but I feel like I need to speak about it to maybe move some things around or something.
Yeah, it's really good because at least it's seen now. It's not just a reaction of jumping and hiding in the corner. We can see that if we see it, it's not us. Like we identify with that truth that there's of what Jesus is. It's really looking, what is Jesus really?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like this unknowingness of anything. I'm
Yes.
starting to get there. Yeah.
You know, symbols are like beyond concepts. Like it's like the mind plays in consciousness to staple on ideas. Jesus is a man who lived and he looked like this. And so therefore we can't hear that voice. He's just a symbol for the voice for God.
Mm-hmm.
The voice of no, the voice that's beyond a conceptual idea. He's our own voice. It's just a way to see the one voice and consistently speak and hear and follow that one voice. And then for some beings, it's helpful. It's just helpful, been helpful here to speak Jesus. It's like you can't even answer, like, why would the voice from A Course in Miracles be Jesus? There's like no answer for that whatsoever, really,
Yeah.
other than the power of that symbol within consciousness. You notice how we use the word when we want to curse, Jesus Christ, you know, it's there.
Yeah.
Yet somehow this is an extremely powerful symbol in consciousness for the transcendence of consciousness.
I feel like I've gotten to that point where I can accept the symbol, but I still don't hear that voice.
How would you know if you did?
That's a really good question. Yeah, because I really don't, I guess. But I just realized like I just kind of had a requirement or several requirements to what it might be like, which precedes the asking, which is something David's talked about. Like you're asking for a miracle, but you've already decided what you think it should be. Therefore, it doesn't happen like you think.
Yes. I already speak to you as yourself. It's you. It's the one voice. It's not personal. It doesn't vote for anything. It's for everything. Yet as soon as that's a concept about what it's going to be, that's why it's really helpful in these light circles, the starting with the yes and the no. Just, is there something here that's infinite? Before time began, is that recognizable, that there's something before time began?
Yeah, I have to sort of relax a little to get the yes, but it's there.
It's something, yes, is that. What knows the yes to infinite?
Well, I'm just realizing like, how could my small self actually know that? It couldn't. It couldn't know that.
That's right.
But I know it.
Yes. You feel
Yeah.
that? No,
Yes.
that's the knowing. That's the voice for God saying yes.
That is helpful. Thank you.
That's the same voice every time you look, you'll get the same thing. Is there something here that's infinite? Goes yes. And that's exactly it. The finite, how could the finite know the infinite?
Yeah, it couldn't. It couldn't really. I mean, it could imagine it,
Yes.
but it couldn't
It will
really
play
know.
like it thinks it knows, but it can't know it. We can see it immediately that the light can only know itself. And it doesn't know a self like a thing. It's a different knowing. See the difference in that knowing?
Kind of.
The recognition
Yeah.
of it? It's not like knowing an object.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not like knowing an apple. Infinite can only know itself and see that is there timeless in that knowing of it? Is there timelessness or is it timed? Have a little tick-tock.
Yeah. It would be timeless.
Yes. Does it change?
No, I mean, I'm barely sensing it, but just like,
No change.
yeah.
So that's you.
Yeah, thank you.
And that's then the voice that speaks, that lets us know. How do we know it's changeless? How's that known? Because we're changeless in function. Or does it feel complete? Is it complete?
Yeah.
That's our only function, completion.
Mm.
Full acceptance. We're complete.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'll be having to replay this exchange in my mind to shift things in the future, but right now it feels complete.
So with you can just have a sense that it's already complete.
Mm.
So the helpful thing is to see, does this light come and does this come and go? In truth and honesty of God, does that, what you're seeing, we can all see it, does it come and go?
No.
So the play in consciousness is that comes and goes and the ego stays. But it's the light that stays and the ego comes and goes
Yeah.
through our desire to experience it. So Jesus is what?
Kind of how like it seems like the earth, it seems like the sun goes around the earth, but it doesn't. The earth spins. Is it like that?
It's just notice the changeless nature. It's changeless. Notice what's changeless. See, the play in consciousness is to focus on what changes and to identify with the changing. See that infinite's not identified with anything. It has no identity that can be known of this world. For our identity is not of this world. So it can't be logicked out. It can only be recognized through revelation, revelatory experience, that there's something here that's infinite, unchanging.
Can you go into what that word here means? You said like something here.
Well, there's no word, see, but notice the light itself. Does it come and go?
No.
So it's here. It's always
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
So wherever you would go, would that light be there?
Yeah.
So it's here now.
Yeah.
That's identity. That's what the ego doesn't want to see. That's the holy instant. The recognition of infinite light. Not light of the eyes, light of what's here. You can't describe it, but it's beyond form. It's a recognition of the timeless, changeless nature. And then in the play of consciousness, the dreaming is to say, okay, that's not, infinite's not available to me. I've been deprived of infinite. When it's with us, everywhere we could see, everywhere we go, we can do the light test. It's helpful. Is the light here? And start with light. We usually start with, oh shit, what's happening?
Okay, so that's what like a joining happens, and let's begin with the light. It means don't start with what's going on.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes, and then we can start with what's eternal, that light, because we know it's infinite, no beginning nor end. And then take an upset that you might have come floating by at some point and just put that in that light and see how it lasts in there. In the infinite light, an upset of any sort, and just put it in there and see if it lasts.
it feels like an abstract concept when I begin joining to try and put something in the light.
It's just a helpful symbol of seeing that nothing can stand in that light. If we look, you take any thought, word, and put it in as though you would put it in the light.
Mhm.
It's just a symbol. See, you bring everything to the light. That's what he's talking about. Bring it to that infinite and see if any concept will stay in there. And you can, that's the light test to see if it's going to survive anything passing. Can anything passing remain in that light? Is anything passing more powerful than that? The unchanging.
Yeah. Something I'm sort of feeling is like, I guess I didn't realize it till now, but I have to sort of, like when, maybe the word infinite works better for me or something, but
Yes. You
when
can use
when
infinite.
yeah, when I kind of think of infinity, it just takes a little while to get me there. Takes a little, like I have to calm down a little bit and sort of relax, and imagine is not the right word, but I just have to get there.
Well, it's just a recognition.
Yeah.
And what this is pointing out is the subtle ways in which we're so used to not looking at that, because that's the play of consciousness, not to, oh, I'm infinite.
Yeah.
It's the play of consciousness to come up with every reason why we are not infinite. Why infinite's not here somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Just, Muji would call it marinate as that light. Because it's effortless. Is there any effortness in infinite?
No, it's like I have to release effort or
Yes.
let go of effort to get it. Yeah.
That's exactly it. That's all Jesus is trying to say to us. He's been talking about. It's releasing the idea that infinite needs effort. Does infinite need effort?
Yeah, no.
In our experience, you're answering for all of us. To demonstrate that we all know this. That this is already known. Yet through the play in consciousness, we'll swear to Jesus we don't know what we are. Because the consciousness is a play to deny that light is identity. So as he said, it needs purification at first, because we're so used to the, like I've spoken of it before, like the aperture on a camera, that opens and closes, and then all of a sudden it seems like it opens. Well, the light's always there. It's the aperture that changes. See, that makes you not as much light coming in.
Right.
So we pretend like we're being blocked from the light, but really that's how consciousness plays.
Mm.
To shut the light, the infinite, out of awareness. And that happens through desire, our desire not to let the light or infinite be in recognition at all times. Essentially to curse ourselves out. So it's it's a wonderful question, because it goes right to really seeing what identity is. Because when you start with light, or you can call it infinite, like Muji says, that's the true position.
Yeah.
That's the true. And then the play of consciousness is the false, which are desire to experience something other than infinite. something other than the vast stillness. But as beings are reported from the joinings, it's being experienced directly together. Because all joining is just to come together and see what's already joined. Really, ultimately, it's only to celebrate what's joined. And to examine the claim, it's an examination of the claim that we could ever be unjoined.
I keep thinking of the word remember. It's more like remember it.
So it's a choice not to see it, to remember. You can ask him, Jesus, or ask the light. See, so you can start to inquire on this infinite. It's a powerful function in consciousness. So what was used in consciousness is to say, look, there's no infinite here, can actually be used for inquiry. It's just it's the purposing of the play of consciousness to look away, to look toward.
Ah, that
To look,
was strong. Repurposing of the play of consciousness. Yeah.
as Jesus said, he can use, the Holy Spirit can use everything, and it does. It can actually use the power of consciousness to repurpose. To recognize what's infinite already here, which is love, unlimited love. But there's such an idea. See, we can't, at first, you will not identify that as love, that infinite won't be identified as love. Because the play of consciousness is to look at infinite like that and go, well, no big deal.
Yeah.
That's the play. Well, okay, that was an interesting parlor trick. Now, what's for lunch? And I love it because Muji would say, you have no idea what you found. You found the whole glory of God, the enchilada, the totality, everything that this course points to. So now we go to the one who knows, the voice within that knows we like to play like that light ain't there. God, I ain't that light game. I ain't that infinite thing. Whatever that is, it's interesting, but we don't even, that's how unfamiliar we are with what love is. Through the play of consciousness. See, because love, the point of consciousness is to conceptualize love and make it a little concept that seems forever unreachable. Consciousness is a play to make love ever unreachable and heaven ever unreachable. Just because consciousness can, and it knows nothing. Ultimately, we know nothing's actually happening. It's a desire for an experience for something other than infinite. And that's why we look so directly together at desires for something other than infinite. And then as those wash out, as Jesus said, purification. Then the purification of those desires to say no. And suddenly it's like, right. Love wasn't what I thought it was. See, the I thought, love can't be found in thought, but the ego is going to insist that it can be. The ego is the demand that love be found in thought, that salvation be found in thought. That's why Jesus comes out of the gate with a big bang in the first 10 lessons. Nothing I see means anything. My thoughts do not mean anything, because the very cover over of infinite is thought. We see, you recognize the infinite, and then a thought arises with a but in it. And that's how simply the entirety of the expression of divinity now becomes a hunt. We'll never find that sucker. Where is it? So it's to obscure the obvious. What's already here becomes obscure. That's when we start to laugh, because it's a memory. Remember not to laugh is a memory, that a memory that comes up and obscures that light's identity, that infinite is identity.
Mm.
We run and we go to different locations and we whinge and complain in the play of consciousness all the time while being just exactly light, exactly infinite, whole and complete. That's why it gets funnier and funnier in the light circles. You just start laughing your head off. You know, we've had some just hilarious laughs because we've remembered that we forgot to laugh, that we made a decision to forget to laugh, that it's impossible to be anything other than light. To play the game of fragmentation game. So that's all the voice for God is. It's the same voice that knows that there's something here infinite. See, the light itself doesn't have a voice. You can see that. Does infinite have a voice? We can inquire on infinite. Does it have a voice and hear what the infinite says? No.
So is Jesus like a mediator?
In consciousness, the voice is, it
Yeah.
comes out of infinite, but in order to speak, it has to come through super consciousness. It's the part of consciousness that remembers wholeness. Because infinite doesn't have a voice. So it's the part of the whole that still maintains the memory that light is all there is. Infinite reality is the only thing that is. That's why it kind of calls it, if you notice, right-mindedness and wrong-mindedness.
Mm-hmm.
Subconscious, wrong-minded, bright-minded, superconsciousness. So we do have access to superconsciousness, which is powerful in the reunification to see that there's no separation and consciousness is actually whole and complete always. Like a hologram. It can't be, it's impossible for anything because there's no, even in a miscreation, we cannot fragment. That's deep.
Mm.
We cannot fragment. It's impossible. It's a dream of fragmentation, but it's impossible. Consciousness is whole. It's just a matter of speaking of the dreaming. in the play, the sleep that would make consciousness seem fragmented. But yet each part of consciousness is all of the whole. It's just an idea that it isn't. Every sight, every sound, everything is whole. That's why you can say God is in everything I see. Because it always carries the totality of the whole in it. Because we're always whole, not we. Love is always complete. And then there's an idea, the tiny mad idea arises that it's not complete. And through the play of consciousness, the idea is followed. The assumption, the tiny mad idea's assumption that the Son of God could not be whole. Consciousness could be apart from the Father. Consciousness could be fragmented, but it's whole. It's always full. Everything's whole. We can only, even a miscreation is still like, it has to be whole. It's still whole. With an idea in a sleep dream state that it's not. We carry everything of the Father, which is wholeness. And that's what the prompts are for, to provide that direct experience, a revelatory experience. As the mind clears through forgiveness, becomes clearer and clearer that infinite's all there is. But it'll play, you still can have conditioning can arise. And that just gets cleared. Because it begins to be seen that it no longer has value. The only way a dream can appear is if we pretend it has value for us. That finite has value and try to achieve, and he's showing us the diversified ways in which value is being placed on the finite over the infinite. Yet these are still just concepts and ideas. They can feel really real. So that's why we're supporting each other, to be the wake-up call. Join, join, join. It snaps you awake. Does that feel complete, Corey? Or
Yeah.
do you have? Okay,
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
thank you.
Yeah.
I really appreciate your questions, Corey. Does anyone else have a question? You can also, if there's something that's coming up that you would like to look like a denial and we can look together, that's our holy function together. That Jesus is saying we should look at. It would be helpful. Jesus, is there anything to look at here? Any desires to deny that this infinite is all there is? Well, I asked Lorrie if this feels complete for everyone and all the questions. There's no requirement. We can just be here together, really. That's the happiness. And I've asked Lorrie if she would sing for us something that feels like it would celebrate our gathering today. Although you might have to unmute, Lorrie. I'm not sure I can unmute you.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
This is coming through as sitting on ready. Sitting on ready. Holy, is anything more powerful than light? Holy, Ale, Ale, precious, pure, infinite lights. We're on the way back. High ho, silver hearts open wide, riding down to the basement. Willingness is lighting the mind. Let it be, let it be, let it rise, let it sing, let the cries pass into our borders. The deepest dive, love is alive on a rocket ship. Jesus, you drive. Holy, is anything more powerful than light? Holy, Ale, Ale, precious, pure, infinite light. Sunshine, beloveds, huddle in, cuddle up, sweet turtle doves. Look together at the desires, denials, shadows, the hiding. Your rhythm, your timing. Jesus, are you driving? Holy, is anything more powerful than light? Holy, Ale, Ale,
Can't hear us clapping. It's beautiful. Thank you. The rocket ship. Aw, thank you so much, Lorrie, and everyone for coming to look together and listen to Jesus and to see that we can all hear Jesus. We all know we're infinite. No more pretending. No more pretending that holiness isn't here. It's so beautiful. Thank you very much. We see you in a couple of hours again. Yeah, thank you, Lord.